The same colors, and looking at all these posters and the red and the yellow and these crazy, decked hallways that we used to have with posters in every frame. But that's the way we used to do things. It makes you realize how kind of streamlined the show's gotten now. Like the production design is a lot kind of more elegant and classic and simple looking.
Conceptually, the show was a darker show, so we tended to play with a lot of really dark colors with these pops of color. And I would say that would be the big way the show has changed.
It's fun to see it again, and I'm using the same kind of filtration I used to use and kind of trying to light it in the same way, but make it still feel like the show is right now. So that's been really fun for me too.
Going to the school, it had to do with matching it, but it also had to do with the fact that the schools have changed since we've been there.
There were actually about 4 or 5 different reasons why we used the school from the original pilot. One being that I believe the other had been repainted. The main reason, though, being that school was chosen because of its exterior look, and it was actually the school used for almost all of our establishing shots.
And just the fact that we're on location is very rare for us this season, so that in itself is special to me.
I've always hoped my life would be like this. With Lois, and with all of it. Because lately I've stopped believing that it could actually happen.
Once we got into the future, I don't know that anybody wanted to come back. We all were so happy to see that kind of brief, tiny moment of resolution and happiness. I think it was hard to come back and see Clark still struggling with certain things because it feels like you just want him to shed everything and go for it.
Getting a glimpse at the future Clark Kent allows our Clark Kent to have a little bit more confidence that this is all going to turn out okay.
That's what I become.
Because I think in the back of his mind, he doesn't really think he can have a relationship. He doesn't really think he's going to be able to hide his identity for the rest of his life. He doesn't really think he's going to have a life.
You never would have experienced all this, and you never would have become me.
Seeing that character, right in front of him, telling him it's all going to work out, just sort of stick to the plan and stop dragging your feet, has kind of allowed him to stop dragging his feet.
We wanted to bring back one of the very first quintessential meteor freaks.
Having Bug Boy come back, we call him Bug Boy, and say thank you, I think put a lot to rest for Clark, because he's put a lot of people in a lot of strange places over the years and never looked back. Just having him in felt like the most iconic of the crypto villains that we could have ever asked for.
It's not really my fault, Let's thank Superman for bringing the kryptonite down to, Smallville.
He's not bad. He's been changed for the good, and so Clark gets to see the good things that he's doing.
I have a message for Clark Kent.
Yeah?
I kind of got caught up in my web of obsession, and he set me straight. It kind of allows us to get a greater sense of Superman's empathy, even for the villains. Let him know. Tell him thank you.
He was the root of a lot of people's demise, so getting a chance to hear thanks from one of those people, knowing that he changed their life, meant a lot to him.
I had anticipated that maybe there would be some more, trying to destroy him or whatever. That's what I thought when I first got the call, but then I got the script and I was like, oh, that's really cool.
I think what Clark learns from coming back for his high school reunion is something that we all probably could learn, which is you need to let go. He honestly doesn't know what it is that he's supposed to let go of, and he needs to be shown. That, to me, is what really takes him to a place where he's able to start levitating and start his ticking clock down to being Superman.
And all of this is an impetus to continue to make him decide that, yes, this is my destiny, and I can do this, and I can fulfill this.
I think that with the Homecoming episode, what I really came to realize was the fact that he has accepted that he's a man, now he's accepting his quest.
I think right in that episode, he's very relieved to see that he is Superman and that he has this great relationship with Lois, but what he comes out of that episode kind of throwing under the rug for a huge part of the season is, yeah, but I also have to be the guy in the glasses.
How did I become so uptight and nerdy?
And experiencing what it's like for him to give up his ego enough to be the bumbling guy and just take his ego out of that and put it all into being Superman is a really interesting struggle to me.
For me, one of the great moments in that episode is when Clark is watching Lois at the dance and she can't see him.
I just always thought Clark was so dreamy,
Is what we call Punch Bowl Maddie, who really runs down every single woman in Clark's life.
I always thought he and Chloe remember each other. But then there was Lana. I mean, how gorgeous can you get, right?
Leaving Lois kind of clumped over her cupcake.
Her interaction is just over the punch bowl, and it's something that I think normally could have been just glanced over and been like, oh, that's not that important of a moment. But that scene to me really stood out as the pivotal emotional change for Clark.
Correct me if I'm mistaken, but you care about Lois, don't you?